Hello, my name's Tash. I'm going to be talking a little bit about my yoga journey today, how I first started yoga and how I got to where I am now. My first yoga class was when I was about 10 years old and I went with my mum. Looking back, I think it might have been a yin yoga class. I remember it being candlelit and very slow, relaxing. After this class, I didn't go back to yoga for a very long time, but Instagram had kind of just started and it had been around for about 2 years and influencers were starting to emerge. And I was following people like Sienna Elise and Jessica Oli, who were yogis, and posting all of these beautiful shapes. And I was originally drawn to the practice because I thought that I might like to be able to do those shapes as well. So my best friend and I signed up to an 8-week beginner yoga course at an Kynd Studio in Ballarat, where I grew up. This course did not help me learn how to do any of those shapes because it was so focused on foundations and structure rather than peak poses. But what I did get out of this course was this beautiful thing called Shavasana. And so at the end of every class, for about 10 minutes, they would bring us down through this exact same meditation and into a state of relaxation. And then what I found was I was able to relax for the first time in my whole life. And I don't mean lie down and close my eyes and I'm relaxed. I mean, I felt the state of relaxation for the first time in my life. And it had always taken me hours and hours to get to sleep. And I started applying this meditation right before I went to sleep to bring myself down into this state of relaxation. And I started falling asleep in under 10 minutes every night. And it blew my mind. That is a little bit more of a story for another video, which I'm going to do very soon, about my journey with anxiety. So then after this 8-week beginner course, I didn't continue because I didn't feel that it was right for my body, and looking back, there were definitely adjustments that I received that anatomically they might have been correct, but for my body and what I had going on with tightness in my body and my ability, they definitely weren't correct adjustments for me in that moment. So I knew that something was off and I decided not to go back, and I'm glad that I made that choice because looking back, I think it could have caused me more damage to be trying to force myself into these anatomically correct poses by the book rather than listening to my body. So then a few years went by and I didn't do any yoga other than a random YouTube video here and there, but I was still following all these yogis on Instagram, looking at all of their practice that they're posting, all of the beautiful words that they would share about the practice. And I started following more and more people, and one of these people was Ceolin, who is based on the Gold Coast, and she started to become really influential to me. I then moved to Cairns and I broke up with my then partner and experienced the worst anxiety that I had experienced in my life. And so I was doing all of these things. I was eating well, I was making sure I was hydrated, getting enough sleep, and yet I was still experiencing this anxiety. And the doctor wanted to put me on medication and I really didn't want to do it. So I decided to go back to yoga. So I did what anyone does in this day and age, and I went to Instagram and I looked for a yogi in Cairns that I could practice with, which is where I found Claudia Fregona. I messaged Claudia and she told me to come along to her Saturday morning vinyasa class. So I recruited my sister for moral support, who had no interest in doing yoga, mind you, and we went to Claudia's vinyasa yoga class. In this class, I was dying. downward facing dog is meant to be the resting pose, and I was so weak that I was struggling to hold a downward facing dog. And so it was a very interesting class, and I struggled the whole way through, but I knew that if I kept going to these classes that I would see some kind of benefit. If not, that little sweet shavasana at the end was enough to make me keep going. So I decided that I would keep going to Claudia's yoga classes because she is the teacher that I felt that I most resonated with at that time. Fast forward about another week, I roll into Claudia's yoga class and I was so looking forward to it. It was just what I needed on a Friday afternoon. I was ready to move my body and then come into that beautiful, sweet shavasana again. And this class started, and when I tell you I was not prepared, I mean I was not fucking prepared. This class was vinyasa on steroids. And we were doing things like handstands. And when I say we, I mean everyone else. I was looking around thinking, what the heck is going on? And I realized that I had gotten myself into something that I did not mean to get myself into. And so I Googled, as soon as I got out of this class, the class description, and sure enough, it was a 75-minute power yoga class for advanced yogis only with a very strong practice. And so I was completely out of my depth in that class. I had no idea what I was doing, and I continued to go every single Friday for as long as that class stayed on the schedule. And that's really where my love for yoga started, and I started to build my own practice, looking around the room and seeing all of the determination from the other yogis in the room, and knowing that there was so much possibility, so much room for my practice to grow and build that connection with my mind and my body and my breath was so inspiring to me. And that's really what pushed me to start diving in deeper to the practice. So over the next year or so, I kept going to classes, and I started doing more drills at home to help me progress my practice, and scheduled a few one-on-one classes to really refine things for my body that within the class just didn't feel quite right. And so then that led me going to a physio and sorting out a few alignment issues that I had going on that no yoga teacher was going to be able to help me fix, because that doesn't fall within their scope. So sometimes you do need to use several different modalities to get everything aligned for your practice. I do want to highlight that because it's not always a one-stop shop, and the more support that you can get surrounding your body and how it works to then build that awareness of what needs to happen for your body to be able to feel good within your movement practices is so important. So then from there, I decided that I wanted to do my yoga teacher training for personal development, to learn more about the practice, more about the philosophy, and build more awareness of the tools that could be helping me move through my life and deepen my practice, such as the breath work and the meditation. And I looked for a yoga teacher training for a little while, and I was looking in Cairns, and nothing was jumping out at me, nothing was resonating with me. And then Emma Ceolin was teaching a workshop in Cairns, and I asked her what she would recommend when looking for a teacher training, and she said you have to resonate with the teacher. If you don't resonate with the teacher or resonate with the institution teaching the teacher training, then it won't feel aligned for you, and you won't feel confident to teach at the end of the course, which was really good advice, but it didn't help me figuring out who I wanted to do my teacher training with, because I hadn't found that person that I resonated with yet, even though I had been looking around. And then Emma announced that she is opening a studio in Coolangatta called Yogaventures, and they would be hosting a teacher training that year. So I think it was about 6 months away, and I signed up to this so quickly. I sent Emma a massive message saying, I spoke to you last year and I want to train with you. And so it all happened very quickly. And then those 6 months, I really pushed myself to dive deeper into my practice, and I felt that I needed to be perfect before I went and did this teacher training. And when I got to the teacher training, I was super nervous, and within 1 or 2 days, I realized that you don't need to be perfect to do a teacher training. You just need to be human. No one expects you to be the perfect yogi. No one expects you to know all of the things, to do the most advanced poses. And if anything, it really helped me strip away this concept that a yoga teacher needs to be able to do all of the peak poses. They need to be the most advanced person in the class. You don't need to be the most advanced person in the class. I've seen yogis instruct classes with far more advanced practitioners within their classes than what they are themselves, but it's that ability to hold space and apply the knowledge that you know to help people grow in their own personal practice, because we're all on our own separate journeys. And while it helps to understand physically how it feels, to know what it feels like in a pose, to then help others access that, if you understand the mechanics of what needs to happen physically, you don't need to be able to perform that pose to help others grow into their practice and achieve those poses. But more than anything, the pose is not the point. The pose is never the point. The whole purpose of a yoga practice, which is what I love so much about it, is to find that oneness and connecting the mind, body, and breath all together like a moving meditation through your practice, and come back to you, come back to your body, come back to your breath, rather than allowing all of these outside sources to affect your energy. The teacher training that I did at Yogaventures with Emma and the other lead teachers was truly nothing short of amazing. I am so grateful that I did it with Yogaventures, and all of the teachers and the other people that I met while I was there. It was truly such a deep transformation for me, and I would highly recommend a yoga teacher training to any person, even if you don't want to teach yoga, for your personal development and to dive deeper into yourself and this practice of yoga, if this is something that you're interested in, because it just opens up a whole nother world. It connects you with like-minded people, and it gives you mentors to come back to and ask questions when you're not sure about something, which is so invaluable, having people around you to support you and guide you through this journey of life. For me personally, I really look to my yoga practice in every life situation. My mat is the one place that continues to hold me. It feels like a safe space, and I know that it's a place that I can come back to and be grounded. And what grounds me to my practice is this knowing that things are much greater than me, but bringing everything back to me, bringing everything back to the core of who I am, and not letting any outside influences shake my energy or my state of being. This groundedness is so important to me, and it's one of the the things that has continually brought me back to the practice over and over and over again. Just feeling the contact of my body with the earth and knowing that I am so supported and the teacher is there to hold the space for me, to help me feel supported, that my mat is there to hold the space for me and help me feel supported, that I am here to support myself and ground myself in this practice in my body, which seems so insignificant, but when everything else feels like it isn't certain, having this one certain place to go to feels so comforting and so secure. How I started teaching. So when I finished my teacher training, I knew that I wanted to teach. This is something that I think happens to a lot of people. You say that you're going into it for personal development because there's a little bit of self-doubt, or maybe a lot of self-doubt, and then when you finish, you know that you need to share this practice with other people. And for me, it just felt like such a deep calling to start teaching. And so I came back to Cairns and I applied to a studio and I started teaching straight away. And I was teaching to family and friends for free every Wednesday night, just to start getting in the groove of teaching and find my style and my voice. And then I was an accounts manager at an air freight company, which I had been working at for about 3 years. And for 8 months, I was doing yoga classes and this job. And I started to feel so unaligned within my 9 to 5. And I started throwing around this idea of teaching yoga full time. And so I struggled with it a lot. It took me a lot to leave, especially because of the big pay cut that I was going to take. But I finally took this leap and I've been teaching yoga and now Pilates as well for 18 months. And it is the best decision that I ever made. And I'm so, so grateful that I get to do this every day and share this beautiful practice with everyone. It makes my heart so, so full. And yeah, it's been a wild ride. And looking back, it's crazy to think that I'm here now. If you had have told 10-year-old me or first year uni me that I would be a yoga teacher, I would not have believed you. It just seemed so out of the realm of possibility and so distant from who I was then to now. It's just really crazy to think about, but I am so grateful that I'm here. So if you watched this, thank you for coming along to hear about my journey with yoga. I'm super grateful. And if you have any questions, anything that you would like to know about my journey, or any questions you have to move through your own journey, please let me know and I would be more than happy to give you any advice or refer you to anything that I think will be able to help you along the way. Thank you so much. Bye.